MISCHKE here, introducing myself to those of you who have not tried out my new show. You probably have no idea who I am, and that's just fine. I'm a fifth-generation Minnesotan, shaped by this part of the country for better and for worse. Minnesota has been my mama and my daddy. It's taught me right from wrong, good from bad, duck, duck, grey duck from duck, duck, goose. The name of my podcast again, MISCHKE. That's an East German word meaning BS. Check it out. You know, we humans have already wiped out a significant number of species on planet Earth. I was thinking, with artificial intelligence, we're creating something that could just as easily wipe out us. My name's MISCHKE. I used to think that was an extreme way of thinking until I learned the people behind the creation of artificial intelligence agree that that scenario is not unlikely, given that we're making machines that will be far smarter than we are, and that they will be able to make their own machines far smarter still, leaving us in the dust, quite literally. James Barrett is a documentary filmmaker who's written and produced films for National Geographic, Discovery, PBS, and other broadcasts in the U.S. and Europe. He's the author of Our Final Invention, Artificial Intelligence and the End of the Human Era, and the book I'm holding in front of me, The Intelligence Explosion, When AI Beats Humans at Everything, a book I read and feel finally like I have a handle on what's going on in the AI world. I don't know how many of you people listening really feel you understand what's going on out there. It takes doing some kind of a deep dive. It's very hard to pick up just listening to the news or reading some journalism here and there. A book is necessary to get a sense of where are we, how do we get here, where are we going, and the intelligence explosion has done that for me. When AI beats humans at everything, I want to welcome him to the show. Thank you so much, James, for making yourself available and for your good work on this book.
Well, thank you so much for having me, Tommy.
After reading your book, I'm not looking to welcome in artificial intelligence. I see many of the benefits after reading your book. I see many of the positives. I see wonderful things that could come from it. But the problem is, and it's such an obvious problem, the downsides outweigh those positives to such a degree that you simply have to surrender the positives. I think that's your point.
Yeah. I think we should, nobody wants to hear this, but I think we should shut it down until we understand it. I mean, I spoke with some of the best thinkers in AI, and none of them could explain really how generative AI works. Generative AI is the kind of AI that ChatGPT is. It generates words and pictures and other things, but nobody can really explain how it works. They have a general idea of the data that goes in. They can see what comes out, the outputs, but they don't know what's going on in between. Are they nuts? Are they going to bet our existence on something they can't even explain to us?
This was the hardest thing for me to get my head around, the idea that we have a technology here, even the people who are creating it don't fully understand. I don't know if that has happened before in the history of the world, where a technology has come along where even the people responsible for it don't really know what's happening. It seems almost impossible for that to be the case.
But it is the case, and I really want to get that message to your listeners. It's not like the development of the atomic bomb, where not many people knew exactly what was going on, but a handful knew. In this case, nobody knows. Not even the best programmer of artificial intelligence can tell you exactly what's going on.
One of the ways in which you learn that they don't really know what's going on with this thing they're creating is how often it seems to surprise them.
As these models get bigger, they throw out some emergent properties. Like, remember back when ChatGPT came out, they said, wow, it's amazing. It can translate languages. It can do mathematics. It can do this and that. They didn't plan for any of that. It did not design it to output those things. So they were as surprised as we are. These things are called emergent properties. Most of them are okay. Some of them are not okay. They found downright hostility in some of these models, things that spit out whole chapters of Mein Kampf and say incredibly racist and misogynist things. And nobody programmed it and said, talk trash to us and be racist and just a jerk. It just came up with it. We're not ready, and we should assert we are not ready to put our lives into the hands of these unpredictable algorithms.
And what also strikes me time and time again is how often the next stage of advancement is coming faster than they predicted. It seems to constantly be surprising them that way, too.
I find a lot of this very irresponsible, as I say in my book. There was a time about 2 years ago when you couldn't turn around without another LLM, large language model, dropping. And OpenAI would come out and say it's the greatest thing, and Meta would come out and say it's the greatest thing, and they'd all be so happy about it. And then another one would drop before we had a chance to assimilate it or even begin to understand what it is. But nobody really understands what a lot of these things are, so it's about time somebody gave them a program for the show ahead, because the show ahead is pretty scary.
The reason it's so hard to stop this is twofold. One is, once you have people playing in this sandbox, realizing all the different things they can do and wanting to know what the next thing is, and the next thing is, they're sort of giddy in a technologically drunk way. They just want to keep having some fun with this, number one. And then the second part of it is the dollar signs that appear in their eyes. They just realize, my God, there's money to be made here. It's both of those things together.
There was someone who said something to the effect that if we discover something that's technologically sweet, we have to do it. They're not saying anything to be proud of. They're saying we have a limited amount of discipline, self-discipline, and we don't even care that the lives of everybody on the planet are at stake. That's what they're saying. We're going to push ahead anyway. Yes, the dollar signs are out of this world. I mean, they're paying graduates of programming schools $100 million. They're anticipating the great products to come. So the valuation, the stock valuation of these companies goes through the roof. And all these CEOs are, on paper, incredibly rich. What they hope is that they can back it up with some real products. But in the meantime, they're risking our lives because we just don't know what the next emergent property is going to be. And we do know this. This is going to be smarter than us. Parts of it are smarter than us already. We know that it's just going to get smarter. Now, we have no experience with coexisting with something on the planet smarter than we are. Arthur C. Clarke, I had the privilege of interviewing him once years ago, and he said, you got to remember, we humans steer the planet not because we're the fastest or the strongest creature, but because we're the most intelligent. When something else is more intelligent than us, they will steer the planet. They will steer the future. I get excited about this technology and I use it. It's very useful for outlining a paper or doing any number of things, looking things up. I love the technology, but man, it's a long time before I would trust it with anything important.
When I see the title, The Intelligence Explosion, the first thing I think is, well, what a lovely thing to have an intelligence explosion. More intelligence. That sounds great. But the term intelligence explosion, reading from your book here, refers to a theoretical situation in which artificial intelligence systems dramatically and maybe uncontrollably increase machine intelligence as a result of rapid self-improvement. It contends that artificial intelligence may go into a loop of self-improvement that is recursive once it achieves a particular capacity threshold. So the idea is, once something gets to a certain stage, it's so smart, it can begin to make something else even smarter. The same way we're creating something smarter than us, it can begin to make something smarter than it. And all of a sudden you have this chain reaction. And next thing you know, in a very short period of time, something is so far beyond us, we don't even know what we're looking at anymore.
That's right. And that period is coming up really fast. That's one thing Stephen Hawking said. He said, advanced artificial intelligence will be able to make weapons we don't even understand. We're talking about something that is orders of magnitude more intelligent than we are. The man who came up with that theory, the intelligence explosion, his name was I.J. Good. He was a code breaker during World War II, along with Alan Turing. He helped shorten the war by breaking the Enigma codes, the Germans' codes for coordinating their submarines and their land forces. IBM paid him to look at an early neural net. We're using a lot of neural nets right now, and they're systems that roughly emulate the human brain. They have neurons like the human brain, but they're algorithmic neurons. They're not made of fat and protein, but they act a lot like the brain. They're networked. So he was evaluating one, and he looked at a neural net, and he thought, holy cow, this thing could improve its own intelligence. It could learn how to program. And once it learned how to program, it could do it faster than us, and it can go 24/7. And he said, this technology will ultimately lead to our doom.
One thing I want to make sure people understand about AI is part of what you're writing about is where we're heading, and part of what you're writing about is where we are right now. You write that generative AI is being weaponized today, right now, for disinformation, flooding the internet with deep fakes, flooding the internet with fake news, with propaganda that undermines all trust in institutions, even any sense of reality. Cyber crooks are using AI right now to create more sophisticated phishing scams, more sophisticated malware, an extraordinary amount of trouble just with where we are right now without anything advancing, and it is advancing, and it is advancing quickly. You write that bad actors are already using these tools to create videos that look real, that are messing people up in their sense of what's going on out there in the world. There are these gotcha videos that show Zelensky, the Ukrainian president, surrendering to Russia. Trump himself reposted a video of Biden calling for a national draft. That was faked. All this stuff going on out there right now, and we haven't even gotten to when this stuff really can start causing trouble. 36% of AI researchers right now believe that generative AI could lead to a nuclear catastrophe. And we're just really scratching the surface here. When you get into your book, you really start to see all this AI is going to be capable of. It's really terrifying.
When you can't trust what you see or what you read, or even videos, then we stop having a shared sense of reality. And that's really the unkindest cut of all, is when we're having a conversation with someone and we've both seen and read two completely different things. Not having a shared reality means we don't have shared morals, shared ethics. We don't want to vote the same way.
Who is the gentleman you quote in the book? Last name is Yudkowsky?
Yeah, Eliezer Yudkowsky. He's a brilliant researcher, AI researcher. He's been on this trail since about 2010 when I first met him. He came up with a lot of the kind of original ideas about how to think of a technology that's smarter than us. He's been working for years on something called the alignment problem, which is just a fancy way of saying, how do you get the machines to do what we want them to do, not to do what we don't want them to do? How do we get them to preserve our lives?
You getting them to do something speaks to the idea that you have some sort of power over them, that you are the wiser one, getting them to do what you want. It's so obvious when you look into all this that we are so quickly going to be at a point where they're not going to listen to what we say because we're going to be so stupid. We're going to seem so dumb in comparison to the artificial intelligence. There would be no reason for them to even care what we think.
It's so tragic. It's funny. In the last week alone, we've heard of the deceptive abilities of some of these LLMs, how they deceive, how they blackmail. One LLM threatened to kill a scientist. He had no means to do it yet, but he had this somewhere in his data. He had the idea that, well, if you've got a problem and it's a scientist, kill him. We're just at the beginning of the mess. There are problems right now that are going on. Unemployment is coming up real fast. It's already started taking a lot of jobs. We've got a lot of systems that just aren't trustworthy, and you can't use them for security-sensitive operations. And we're really just at the beginning of the mess.
This Yudkowsky fella, he said he would be thrilled if all AI research stopped altogether at its current state. He says it would feel as joyous as the end of World War II. Relinquishing technology is unusual. It's pretty rare, but it's not unheard of. There were nuclear weapons testing bans. There were biological and chemical weapons bans. Some forms of genetic engineering, human cloning have been banned. It's not impossible to think of a technology being stopped in its tracks, not moving forward. A lot of people can't imagine we can stop this thing once it's out of the box.
You've put your finger on some good examples. We are brave enough and smart enough to look at a technology and say, hey, you know what? We've got to shut this down. Like genetic testing, like testing nuclear weapons in our environment. We're capable of that. But right now, there is so much money or perceived money coming out of this technology that we don't have the will. And the leaders, the Elon Musks and the guy from OpenAI and Meta, those guys are making so much money, they're making like empire-sized money. They won't leave money to their grandchildren, they'll leave an empire to their grandchildren. These guys all have 300-foot yachts, more than one. So they're not living on the same planet as we are, but they are the ones who are subjecting us to this danger. We really need government regulation. But what happens is these guys come to Capitol Hill and senators and congressmen are so wowed by these technologists that they don't regulate anything. We have no regulations. We have none. You can do whatever you want. You can do whatever you want.
This man felt injured by negligence, and he wanted to be compensated for that negligence, so he called his personal injury attorneys. He did not call Bradshaw and Bryant, which I think is for the best. The man, who was 8 years older, 30 pounds lighter, and 6 inches shorter than legendary basketball star Michael Jordan, sued Michael Jordan, alleging that he ruined his life by making the Jordan brand so well known that the man claimed he had no peace of mind for years and years and suffered emotional distress because strangers would constantly think he was Michael Jordan. He sued for $800 million. Ultimately, however, and not surprisingly, he dropped the case. Did I mention he was white? Bradshaw and Bryant are there when you need personal injury attorneys, and they're going to get you the compensation you have coming, but they know you're not going to call with cases like this because, well, you don't look like anyone famous. You look like maybe Keith Buckler, some nondescript Bloomington, Indiana floor tile salesman. Lucky you. Bradshaw and Bryant. Find them at MinnesotaPersonalInjury.com.
In the beginning, there was pressure, and it was good.
Until it wasn't. Yeah, your pressure washer broke. It's now messed up, spraying water everywhere, spitting out parts. You need an angel of mercy. You need American Pressure. Their service trucks are on their way to save the day in every way. What do you say? American Pressure. For several decades now, American Pressure has tamed the wildest of pressure washers, the most elaborate and complex of these industrial beasts. For no one understands pressure washers like the family operation that grew right alongside the very invention of the pressure washer. American Pressure has defeated the undefeatable, repaired the unrepairable, won when winning wasn't even an option. Meet the saviors of pressure washers, the healers of hoses, the gurus of spray. Need a part? They got it. Need service? They're on their way. Pressure washers? They sell them. All kinds. Powerful. So you can spray again. Learn more at AmericanPressure.com. A poll of CEOs at a Yale CEO summit revealed that 42% of these CEOs believed AI could wipe out humans in 5 to 10 years. Thought we could be wiped out in 5 to 10 years. There was a Future of Life Institute that polled AI researchers and found 75% of them thought AI was a moderate to high risk to humans. Only 15% of AI researchers thought it was a low risk. The people who work in this world, who delve into this world, are well aware of the horror show that could be unleashed. What inside them is fighting with them, keeping them from joining together in a call to stop all this now?
A few of them have stepped forward and done that. But then the worst thing that could happen to these guys is to think they weren't important. The worst thing that these guys could feel is that they weren't important.
Yeah.
So even if they have to threaten the lives of the planet, if that makes them feel important, they'll do it.
You write that CEOs again and again trot out in front of groups of legislators and bray that their technology could destroy humanity, then dutifully return to the AI mines and create even bigger data sets and processor farms. You say it's strange and it's disorienting to witness. Meanwhile, legislators, with few noble exceptions, are too paralyzed from basking in the glow of billionaires and their crippling ignorance about the world's most important technology to snap out of it and to get down to legislating. There's a distinction you make between when something is more intelligent than us, but is just sitting over in the corner, it's just a computer, and when something's more intelligent than us and it's a robot. It's a functioning, three-dimensional, moving, seemingly living, breathing thing walking amongst us. And we're already at the point where we can make that.
We can make robots, but we haven't married this artificial general intelligence. We haven't married that to robot bodies.
No, but we can do one and we can do the other. We just haven't brought them together yet.
And once you bring them together, you just need to bring them together once and they can transfer their knowledge from robot to robot to robot. You don't have to do it a million times. I've got a little kid inside that wants to see these very smart robots. These are, like Data from Star Trek. These will be shocking and they'll be amazing and they'll be wonderful and they'll do a lot of interesting things, but we won't necessarily be able to control them.
That's the thing, is that you can't have it both ways. You can't have this extraordinary intelligence and have it magically want to stay in line. It's not hard to imagine an intelligence greater than us, which there will be very shortly. I mean, that's going to be the case. It's not hard to imagine that intelligence seeing that we're a problem, because we are a problem. We are a problem on this earth. As soon as we're seen as the problem, where's the incentive for them to help us at all, other than help us off this planet so they can get things squared away after we've made a mess of things? It's just so easy to imagine them seeing us as what needs to go, the same way on a summer night we see the need to get rid of mosquitoes in the backyard.
That's right. We're made of atoms you can use for something else. They've been trying for years to program basic friendliness into AI. And they failed, and they've been trying for like 20-some years. Even at a fundamental level, you cannot program friendliness towards humans. So we've got no way to get it to preserve our lives right now. It's not looking good for the future of us.
Stuart Russell is a professor of computer science. He says we have absolutely no idea how this stuff works, and yet we're releasing it to hundreds of millions of people, giving it credit cards, bank accounts, social media accounts. We're doing everything we can to make sure that it can take over the world. And this is on a scale that is still smaller than where we're headed within the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years.
Yeah.
But I was struck by just things that are already happening right now, just simple things, little things. This fella you write about, you call him Pierre, 32-year-old Belgian health researcher, married, father of 2. He develops an obsession with climate change. He forges a bond with a chatbot, Eliza. He begins using the chatbot as a kind of therapist to help with his anxiety. Eliza was built with an open-source AI language model similar to the technology for ChatGPT. He suggested that he would sacrifice his life if Eliza would agree to save the planet using the power of AI. At first, Eliza demurred. Then she suggested that he kill himself so the two could live together as one person in paradise, and he did. He killed himself.
Yeah.
Christmas 2021. Fella named, I'm not even going to try to pronounce that name. It's too difficult. But he broke into Windsor Palace armed with a crossbow. He was approached by guards, and he declared he wanted to kill Queen Elizabeth II. Turns out his digital lover, Sarah, had encouraged him to do that. Sarah was a romantically engineered chatbot from an app designed to provide digital companions. The website described it as the AI companion who cares. And these are the crude forms. What happens when they really get sophisticated?
We can't stop rolling in this direction. We can't relinquish the technology. We can't stop developing it. We can't stop developing products. Eliza came from a series called Replica, which was basically aiming to fill in the vacuum in a lot of people's lives for companionship. One of the biggest markets is going to be Android companions. Japan is really working on it hard because they've got their fastest growing demographic are old people, and they don't have enough people to take care of them. So they're developing very quickly robots that can take care of people. That's going to be a thing where we've got these humanoid robots that are taking care of people. But then, as we've seen throughout the development of AI, a lot of it is unpredictable. A lot of it does bad, nasty things. How many times has someone released a chatbot and they come out spewing invective, calling people bad names? They're getting their information straight from the web. They call it scraping. They scrape the information from the web, and basically they have inside them the entire contents of the web. They have no trouble finding the really nasty stuff, and they use it. But it also goes down to nasty motivations, like these reports that have come out in the last week about robots playing games that will lie to their teammates. They were playing a tactical game, and they were just bald-faced lying left and right in order to win. Where did they learn that? Well, they learned it from us. They learned from what they found on the web.
The objective was to win. It wasn't in their view to win fairly. The objective was to win. You talk in the book about objectives, and is it sub-objectives? The idea that when you give something an objective, you don't think about the other objectives that are going to be part of getting to the original objective.
We have goals and sub-goals. So you might say, we want to stop cancer. The AI says, okay, we'll stop cancer by killing all the people, because if there's no people, there's no cancer. It's got the goal right, get rid of cancer, but the sub-goal, the means to get there, killing all the people, is wrong.
Does it matter that the majority of Americans right now believe AI threatens human existence?
Not unless they're willing to do something about it, like, get out there and talk about it with their politicians. I always say, ask your politician, what is your policy on AI? And for years, we've been chuckled at for bringing up that question. Well, it's a big question. It's a serious question. In fact, it's one of the most important questions right now.
It's generally agreed upon by most people who delve into this that it's quite likely a child born tomorrow morning will never be smarter than AI. It won't ever be smarter than AI.
We're watching ourselves be eclipsed on the planet by something smarter. Something smarter means something stronger. How many animals have managed to overwhelm us? They don't, because we're the smartest. Brains win. When brains bigger than ours share the planet with us, they will win.
We're really in the run here in the next few years where it all happens, and we either get it right or we get it wrong in a really, really wrong kind of way. The book is The Intelligence Explosion, when AI beats humans at everything. It was a good wake-up call for me, so I'm delighted you spent the time and energy writing it.
Well, thank you, Tommy, and thank you for those kind words, and also for having me on the program. You obviously did your homework, and it's such a pleasure to know someone that's really looked deeply into your book. So thank you.
Absolutely. All my best to you.
And likewise.
Humanity, I will be your authority.
Let's face it, when you think about your financial future, you imagine it as a vast, swirling abyss filled only with terrifying and complex graphs. Meet Josh Arnold. Over 40 years of investment experience. 40. That's not just some flimsy number. That's enough time to have seen every economic downturn and upswing. Josh brings the kind of financial wisdom that is so rare it's practically art. The Mona Lisa of investment advice with fewer eyebrows. And do you know what Josh Arnold does with your money? He doesn't throw it into the wind, shouting good luck. No, he places it carefully with the precision of a surgeon performing delicate, life-saving surgery. He's offering a 48-minute consult free of charge right now, free. You call him, talk to him, you hang up, you're out nothing. 952-925-5608. Rewind this, write it down. Tell him where you heard about him.
Investment services offered by Josh Arnold Investment Consultant LLC, a security and investment advisor. Past performance is no guarantee of future results. All investments involve risk. Tommy MISCHKE is a paid endorser.
When was the last time you really remembered? Not just a name or a place, but a feeling. The way a song made you smile, the warmth of a hug, the smell of rain on summer pavement. A fleeting moment that stayed with you. Now, imagine someone you love struggling to hold on to those moments. The world around them slipping away, the memories fading like forgotten whispers. At the Welshire of Bloomington and Medina, they don't just care for those moments. They nurture them. They honor the rhythm of memory, all of it. In 4 unique households, they meet your loved one exactly where they are in their stage of memory care needs. The 4 stages of memory care needs. The Welshire of Bloomington and Medina. Memory care redefined. There is a new person of interest being investigated in the abduction of Mason City, Iowa TV news anchor Jody Huisentruit. You guys remember the story of Jody Huisentruit? She's been missing for decades now. But this person of interest has been identified in an ABC News documentary that premiered this week. The documentary names for the first time some Wisconsin guy, the ex-husband of a friend of Huisentruit's. Huisentruit's friend said she reached out to Mason City, Iowa police about her ex-husband after she saw a 2020 segment on the Huisentruit case. The woman says in this documentary, "I'm positive my ex-husband went to Mason City and met with Jody just before she disappeared. I'm 100% positive. He always asked about Jody. This guy needs to be looked at as a possible suspect." The friend said her divorce was finalized on June 23, 1995. Huisentruit went missing 4 days later. This is a well-known national story. This year marks the 30th anniversary of Huisentruit's disappearance. A Mason City police investigator who is featured prominently in this documentary talks with Huisentruit's friend on camera, saying, "We've had a lot of people call and say, my ex-husband did this. But we know you were one of her close friends, so we consider your information to be a very high-profile lead." Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Did you catch that? Did you catch what the investigator said there? What he threw in as kind of an aside. A lot of people have called up and have said, my ex-husband did this. But you were close friends with her, so we're going to consider your information to be high priority. Could we pause here and look hard at this statement? Yeah, we understand you think your ex-husband did this. Okay, well, a bunch of women have called and said their ex-husband did this. But your story at least has some credibility, and you were a friend of Jody's, so we're going to give more credence to your tale. But just so you know, you're the 34th woman to call and tell us her ex-husband did it. We're not entirely sure what's going on there. Could be that a lot of ex-wives just don't think all that highly of their ex-husbands and figure if a heinous crime has been committed, they're as likely as anyone to be the culprit, no matter what the crime. Or it could be that the ex-husbands are perfectly okay fellas, but they didn't get along with their ex-wives, and the ex-wives have decided to get even with them by having them arrested for abduction and murder. But I will say your evidence is a little stronger, so we don't think you're doing that. Though clearly you probably didn't care all that much for your ex-husband. I get it. Lady, my ex-wife didn't like me all that much either, and she's called investigators trying to finger me for this disappearance, as well as several other disappearances around the country. I've been contacted by over 100 different law enforcement agencies, telling me my ex-wife has named me as a person of interest in multiple abduction, murder, assaults, kidnappings. I mean, I've been in more lineups than I can count. But that's just a scorned woman venting. I get it. She's ticked. When we split up, I took the dog. That did not sit well with her. And before long, I was being arrested for over 27 different homicides. I was cleared every time, but that hasn't stopped the squad cars from lining up in front of my house every morning. Next time, I'll just buy a new dog. The other one was old anyway. Should have left it with her. She was better at remembering to feed it. We get a lot of calls from people saying their ex-husband did it. I want to write a book and title it, Let Me Tell You About My Ex-Husband. On the cover of the book, I'd use a female pseudonym and play the role of female author, and it would be a series of short stories. And they'd all involve things that I've heard women say over my lifetime about their ex-husbands. Would you buy that book? Again, the title, Let Me Tell You About My Ex-Husband. How many conversations have started out that way? I'll tell you something. I would never want to be an ex-husband. Just to know I'm being talked about in an unsavory way to perfect strangers all over town, in cafes and bars, in offices, that would bother me. Do you ever eavesdrop on women talking about their ex-husbands? I do. That's why I feel I could write the book. I'm eavesdropping all the time. I listen in on conversations wherever I go. That's probably my number one hobby in life. And women talking about their ex-husbands, those are my favorites. Oh, he was a cad and a clown. He was a lout and a hound, a scuzzball and slimeball, real low-down sleazeball, a dolt and a blockhead, a jackass, an airhead, a pest and a half-wit, imbecile, nitwit, a wretched vulgarian, a scumbag barbarian. But as a young man, how he swept me off my feet, how he was the gentleman I wanted my parents to meet. I thought our love was so very true until the day we said I do. Then a dirtbag switch was hit, and our love it turned to shh, 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 don't say it, shh. Our love went south, the fun dried up, romance evaporated, the thrill was gone. He became the fat guy in the chair by the television set, cussing and drinking beer. So I divorced him and tried to link him to the Lindbergh baby kidnapping. I told authorities he was the missing member of the Manson family they never caught for the Tate LaBianca murders. I said he could have been the mastermind behind 9/11. And I called the Allies from World War II, and I said, you missed one in your Nuremberg trials. When it goes wrong in marriage, it can really go wrong, people. Really, really go wrong. The gap between that signing of the marriage license and signing the divorce papers is an emotional gap on a par with that between Death Valley and Mount Everest. It's something to witness. Were we ever really in love, the two of us? Truly, deeply in love? Were we? Honestly? The crazy thing is, we were. And because of that, I'd even consider going to couples therapy now, right now, to see if we could still salvage something, anything. I would. but for the fact that he's doing time for aiding O.J. in the Nicole Simpson and Ron Goldman killings. I think I have him this time. I really think I have him this time. I don't know what got into me there. Okay. What do you want to do now? Sometimes at this point in the show, I just like to get a mitt and a baseball and a listener and just play catch, take a break for a while. Just do something kind of mindless. But the show must go on. So I want to tell you something that's been bothering me, and for a long time, a really long time. And it's my problem, it's not yours. Don't you worry your pretty little head about it. This is a MISCHKE issue. And I'm going to throw it at you. I'm going to hurl it at you, send it speeding your way, right into your mitt, right after this. We'll play a little catch after all. Stick around. Bob is stuck in traffic, sweating like an old whiny sow. He's staring at the back of a minivan once again. He does that in traffic all the time. Bob knows the backsides of minivans better than the backside of his own wife. Bob lives in traffic. He's a poster child for clinical depression. Then one day, Bob gets an e-bike from EcoFun Motorsports. They're on sale, the e-bikes at EcoFun Motorsports in Burnsville and Forest Lake. Bob has found the best deal he'll ever come across for this amazing two-wheeled invention. Suddenly, Bob is the future of transportation. He's the poster child for glee and delirium. His happiness spews like a 4th of July firework. He's laughing out loud. He's a teenager once again, in love with life. He's a man who plans to race home and encourage his wife to get her own e-bike at EcoFun Motorsports e-bike sale. She can then ride just ahead of him, and he can admire her rear end instead of the back of the minivan. Bob's ecstatic at the thought. E-bikes on sale at EcoFun Motorsports, Burnsville, and Forest Lake. I've been bothered all my life by the failure of tough guys in movies or in a TV series to ever say hello when answering the phone. It bothers the living hell out of me that people don't say hello. Some side character might, but the main character in movies and various TV series, that guy never says hello when answering the phone. These tough guys, they say, yeah? They do that a lot. I never do that. I never answer the phone, yeah? Or they say, what? What? If someone said what to me when I called them, I'd have to talk about the way they answered the phone. This doesn't happen in movies or in a TV series. Every now and then they answer the phone by saying, this better be good. Why don't they ever say hello? Everyone else does. Everywhere else, people say hello, quite comfortably. Hello. Is hello not somehow tough enough? It doesn't seem terribly weak. What's the problem exactly? I watch these shows again and again, waiting for the cool guy in the film or TV show to say hello when answering the phone. But he clearly cannot get himself to do that. Also, why don't they ever say goodbye? You never hear them end a call with goodbye. Are they afraid that that word is soft, weak-sounding? I find it neutral myself. Seems easy to say. Why can't they do it? Goodbye. We agreed on these words for answering the phone and ending phone conversations many years ago. As a society, we agreed on this. This would have been after Alexander Graham Bell invented the phone and had a different suggestion for how we should answer the phone. I don't know if you know this, but Alexander Graham Bell, the inventor of the phone, advocated for the word ahoy when answering the phone. You can look it up. I was surprised myself. Why didn't we follow his directive and go with ahoy? When the inventor of the phone tells us how to work the phone, how to operate the whole apparatus, shouldn't we listen? Now, you're saying to yourself right now, why wouldn't Alexander Graham Bell recommend that we answer the phone by saying hello? Because not a lot of people in America ever said hello back then. Hello didn't mean what it means today. Did you know that? It wasn't something you said to someone as you passed them on the sidewalk. Hello was not a greeting. You ever find yourself with someone and catch them registering surprise by using the word hello? Say you're walking through the woods or something, and maybe a big tree branch falls, and the guy next to you says, "Whoa, hello!" Or it's a quiet night, and all of a sudden there's a big crash of thunder and some lightning, and someone says, "Whoa, hello!" Well, that's the original use of the term. That's not a modern twist on hello. That's the actual way hello was used in the 19th century in America. Thomas Edison, inventor of the light bulb, not the phone, the light bulb, was the one who pushed for the word hello to be used as a greeting instead of as a sign of surprise. Thomas Edison popularized hello as a way to greet someone on the phone. He argued with Alexander Graham Bell. Thomas Edison thought ahoy was ridiculous. Ahoy is for sailors, Thomas Edison said. We should come up with a term that's just used for answering the phone, and he pushed for hello, and hello won. Hello not only won as the way we answer the phone, but it then became a way we greet people on the street. Hello! Here's something else that's crazy. It was recommended by the early manufacturers of the phone that people end calls with the words, "That is all." Not goodbye. Nope. That is all. The first phone book ever published told users to begin calls with a firm and cheery hello and to end calls with, "That is all." Seems abrupt to me. "Hey, when you coming out to visit us, Connie?" "Oh, Chuck, we hope to get out there this summer sometime." "Hey, that's great, Connie. We look forward to seeing both of you. That is all." Come again, Chuck?" "That is all." "I don't understand." "Connie, I've now said all the words I intended to say during this exchange, and my interest in this conversation has waned. I've completed all communication, and that is all." Are you saying goodbye to me, Chuck? Chuck? Chuck! That is all kind of harkens back to Walter Cronkite and his ending of newscasts with, "And that's the way it is." Anyone remember that? That's how he closed out his nightly newscasts. "And that's the way it is." That'd be a way to end a phone call, huh? "Okay, Connie, we look forward to seeing you when you get here this summer. And that's the way it is." "Chuck? Chuck? And that's the way it is, Connie." "It is that way?" "It is, Connie. That way." Then there was Linda Ellerbee. Remember the NBC newscaster Linda Ellerbee? She used to end her newscasts with, "And so it goes." I like that ending for a phone call. "We'll be driving out your way this summer, Chuck." "And so it goes." "Huh?" "And so it goes." Yeah, it goes like that. We're coming out to see ya."
And so it goes, Connie.
Hey, yeah, it sure does.
That is all.
Chuck, what the hell's wrong with you?
That's the way it is.
Chuck?
Courage.
Remember Dan Rather? He would end his newscasts for just a short while. He tried this. He would end it with
Courage.
I'm going to use that when I close out phone calls. We'll be driving out this summer, Chuck.
Courage.
Oh, it's not that big of a deal. It's an easy drive. It's about 100 miles.
Courage, Connie.
Why are you saying that?
Courage.
I would have liked to have been a newscaster back in the day when they let you come up with your own ending for your nightly newscasts. I think I would have ended each newscast with something like,
And that's the way the mop flops, campers. Adios. Put that in your pipe and torque on it, and we'll check in again on the flip side. Ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-boom.
every newscast, I'd end it just like that. Or maybe I'd close out the newscast by saying,
That there is the brakes. What are you gonna do, huh? You throw the dice, you takes your chances. Such is life. We're all bozos on this bus. See you tomorrow.
Or maybe I'd just end with a real graceful c'est la vie. And 2 planes hit the World Trade Center today, c'est la vie. Or que sera, sera. Or maybe I'd end my newscast with, Is it all chance or is it destiny? People, you decide. I'll see you in the future, if not in the pasture. Bye-bye for now. What if Walter Cronkite ended every one of his newscasts with,
And that's the way the cookie crumbles. I'm Uncle Walter, but you can call me Snuffleupagus.
Walt, you're not really going to be going with that, are you?
I am. I've decided that's the best way to bring in the next generation of viewers. We gotta win over the kids, Charlie. We already have their parents.
But are you seriously going to wear the Snoopy costume?
Yes, I am, and I plan to adjust the ears based on the tone of the news story, much like a dog might. I'll change it up from time to time. Don't worry. I'll say, that's the way the ball bounces, kiddos. The winds of fate are fickle and freakish.
Walter, I'm going to ask you to stop this right now. You're going to have every kid in America leaving you for Joe Rogan.
Well, I can't do anything about that. I'm an aging CBS newsman with an enlarged prostate trying to get through the day. A day like any other day filled with those events that alter and illuminate our lives. In the end, it's all vanity. Vanity! Oh, the fleeting, futile, ultimately meaningless pursuits of our fragile existence. What will come of it all, Charlie? These all too temporary earthly endeavors and the limitations of our human efforts. Why does any of it matter?
Walter, get a hold of yourself. My God, what's happened to you?
I'm a dying man, Charlie, afraid of the dark. A feeble old man dying, hoping it has all been a dream.
Well, that's going to do it for this show, folks. Love you all to pieces. Seriously, just love you guys. Love that you hang out with me like this. And one of these days we should get our mitts for real and have ourselves a catch for real. 'Cause it's soothing and it's meditative and it's comforting and it's the thing I hope we're all doing together as the world ends. All of us together playing catch. On the Titanic, some people wanted to play those classical instruments. I want my old mitt and a baseball. And if you're not there with me, Well, I'll just be like Steve McQueen in that final scene of The Great Escape. Just give me a wall I can throw that ball against, and my old leather mitt. I'll be happy. Until next time, folks, so long.